And quite appropriate then, we're talking about pedal power again, because we're going to chat to Veronica White, who left Land's End on the 12th of April to explore the nation's farms and food producers, covering 2,000 miles on her bike, a journey which is due to end on Saturday at Gretna Green on the Scottish border. Hi, Veronica.
Hi there.
How's it going?
It's going well. I'm ready to finish though.
Okay, so what's the vision when you probably didn't do it on a fag packet because we don't these days. When you originally conceived this, what was the big idea?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to talk to farmers and specifically women in farming communities across the country. And I never learned how to drive. So actually cycling across England was sort of the obvious option for me to be able to reach people in rural communities and travel in, a low carbon sustainable way.
And you're part of Exeter's Department of Geography, working towards your PhD on the visions of the future of farming. So talk a bit about the range of people and enterprises and food production you've seen.
Yeah, so I've done 50 interviews over the last 12 weeks, and it's been an incredible range of farms and of women that I've got to speak to. So I've spoken to women sort of organizing small market gardens, producing food for their local communities, all the way up to kind of large-scale commercial horticulture, arable dairy farms, top fruit orchards, that are thousands of acres. So it's really been an incredible diversity of farms, and that's one of the things I've really enjoyed about this trip is getting to really experience that diversity as I'm cycling through these farming landscapes and getting to see all these different farms as I do the interviews.
Were there any themes that seemed to cut across the geography and the disparity in the scale of what's being done?
Yeah, definitely. So looking towards the future, there were a few themes that came up in a lot of the interviews, and those were around education, so really getting the public to understand and value food and farming. And very much linked to that then is trying to ensure that the public is buying British food and that we can become more self-sufficient as a nation, so reducing our reliance on imports from abroad. And then finally, there's this kind of push towards more farming with nature, so not necessarily taking land out of food production for things like rewilding, but making sure that the farming practices that we are employing are beneficial to biodiversity and nature conservation.
Are people thinking a lot about climate change?
Yeah, so this was interesting. It came up in certain areas more than others. So it came up a lot more when I was in the Fens. And I wonder if that's because that was when we were really kind of in the middle of that drought. We hadn't had rain for weeks. And so, yeah, it really depends on the person I was chatting to. Some people are very concerned about it and are finding ways to adapt their farming practices to become more resilient. And then there's others who are maybe less convinced about climate change. I had one woman who flat out told me she doesn't believe in global warming. So yeah, it really was a bit of a range.
When it comes to the logistics of what you're doing, I'm guessing you've been under canvas for most of it. What has the physical experience been like for you?
Yeah, so I did a lot of training in preparation for the ride because I didn't really ride my bike in England before I came up with this idea. So I actually fared pretty well physically. My longest day was about 70 miles, but typically I was riding between, I'd say, 20 and 50 miles a day. So yeah, up until this week when I've injured my back, I've been feeling pretty good on the bike.
It sounds fascinating. And how are you intending to present the finished work for your PhD? Because I'm sure there is a great deal of data in there that a lot of people would find fascinating.
Yeah, so I'll obviously have my PhD thesis that will be sort of the main output from my PhD program, but I'm also a photographer and a graphic designer. I'm really interested in visual communication, so I'm hoping to be able to find some more creative ways to communicate my findings for a wider audience. I know, no one wants to read a thesis. So I am very much looking for ways to present my findings in more creative ways.
Can I just ask you one question? I'm just interested how you feel what you've heard from women. I mean, obviously, you've been concentrating very much on the female perspective. Do you think it's a different perspective than you would have got if you'd spoken to men on 50 different food production businesses?
Yeah, it's a really good question. It is something that I've been thinking about, and I don't have a good answer for you there. I know that women are very often, at the heart of the farming business. So they maybe aren't necessarily out on the farm every single day, but they're the ones doing the paperwork, running the business, finding ways to make the farm profitable and sustainable as well. And so I am curious whether there would be differences there. But I don't have a good answer for you. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe you'll have to do it again and get on that bike and speak to the blokes. Lovely to talk to you, Victoria. Thank you, Veronica. Sorry, why did I call you Victoria? I've had a senior moment. Veronica, and we wish you all the very best. What are you looking forward to doing when the imperative of needing to cycle day after day after day ends?
Well, I've booked in a spa session at the spa in Exeter, so I can go have a little relax and look after my body.
Yes, a nice soak and no pedalling. We wish you all the very best, and thank you very much for sparing us some time in your day.
Thank you so much.
Lovely to talk to you. Take care. Bye-bye. Talking there live to Veronica, who Veronica White left Land's End on the 12th of April to explore the nation's farms and local producers from a women's perspective. Now, just a couple of days from the finish line at Gretna Green.
Going back to a time when your